How's it going, everybody? I just wanted to get this video out and maybe let some people know who aren't aware of what's going on with the economy. Global economy, American economy. It's all tied together now. I mean, they're interconnected. If the price in soybeans rises over here, the price of dollars might go down in Asia and affect the Australian, the Aussie dollar, which could affect some exports they have, which could rise prices of goods 2% over there. I just used an arbitrary example, but everything's interconnected. There's no way to get around it now. The global forecast is anything but good right now. It's bad. It's actually scary. I worry about what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen to my family, my friends, my immediate family. Gold it's a great safe haven right now. There's a huge currency war going on, and everybody's playing it. Everybody's racing to zero and under. Everybody's trying to get their currency to be worth the least as possible in order to attract corporations to do business in their countries. Okay? Because if the dollars are worth nothing here, and then other companies from other countries can come here and pay workers nothing. That's what China's been doing to us for decades. That's what happened to Japan in the early 90s, late 80s. They completely were stealing jobs from everybody around the world because their currency was so low that companies were going over there and manufacturing everything in order to be the cheapest available on the market. That's what grew China from basically a third world country to a first world country. Parts of the country are industrialized, obviously. They still have a huge population of rural poverty, people in poverty in rural parts of China. Anyways, that's what brought them up, though, is their manipulation of the currency. Not just that, they completely purposefully devalued their currency, because when corporations go over there, they only have to pay 50 cents American dollars to make a pair of shoes or whatever, right? And then they send them over here and sell them for $80, $100, $300, right? Well, why wouldn't they? Every corporation's been doing that for decades. Okay? How does that not make any sense? And everybody says the trade war is so bad. The trade war is ruining our country. Our country was already ruined. Okay? That's the only thing saving us, is giving us a chance to bring some of these jobs back. Okay? This is the first time in decades that somebody stood up to China. Everyone in Europe is wishing that somebody would have done this decades ago. Okay? This is the most important thing to happen in our lifetime. Nobody understands this and nobody realizes it. The trade war, it's the best thing that could possibly happen to us to hold China accountable, okay? Not even the manipulation of the currency to steal all of our manufacturing jobs, all of them, but also the intellectual property theft, okay? If companies want to do business in China, they have to give China an equal company over there that does the same thing. They have to give them all their secrets, okay? And all their patents and everything that makes them who they are. That's what gives these companies the edge, is they have the technology to do that, build that product, do that service better than anybody else. Well, now the Chinese company knows exactly how to do it. So why do they need us anymore? They don't. Then they turn around and make the same exact product over and over again for cheaper and cheaper, and then undercut the company who just taught them how to do it. Okay? That's been going on for decades, and that's what the trade war is doing. It's holding them accountable, okay? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're not even talking about the fentanyl that's being brought in by China. They're pumping it into our country. You think that doesn't have any reason? There's no political motive behind that? There definitely is, okay? Whether it's payback from the opium wars, and that's a whole different thing. I don't even have time to get into that, where America and Great Britain totally, at some points it was estimated that 90% of the population was hooked on opium, okay? We completely destroyed China as a country for 100 years. That's a different thing. I won't even get into that now. But the fentanyl is destroying our country. How many people do you know that are, addicted to painkillers, and then they go to fentanyl and then heroin? That's a whole different part of it. But anyways, this trade war is imperative to our success as a country. Not even being number one, okay? But just being this life that we have right now, it's going to be drastically different, okay? Americans aren't going to know in 20 years from now, the kids that are going to be around, they're not going to know what this life is that we have right now. We're about to lose the reserve currency status for the dollar, and that's going to change everything, okay? The reason we have the lives that we do is because governments have been borrowing our money from our future kids for, about 20 years now, okay? All they do is create more and more money and bail out all the banks, and it never helps the middle class. All it does is help the banks get richer and richer. And it allows the banks to pay their bills, okay? Because they always are over budget. Every single year, they're over budget, okay? Well, what happens if you spend more money than you have? You go into debt. Well, we're reaching a point where we can't even get out of that debt. There's no way to catch up. Social Security is estimated to be out of money, bankrupt, in 2034, okay? What's going to happen to all the baby boomers who are expecting that income? And we're not even talking about the future generations, our generations. We won't have that. There's no way we will have that. And we're not even talking about the fixed income market, the bond market. It's in dire straits. Low interest rates for the last 20 years has ruined our country. Nobody's been able to make interest or money that they've needed to make to pay their bills. Pension plans? How many pension plans have you heard that can't pay their bills and have gone bankrupt? How many people do you know who need a pension to survive? They're not going to have the income they thought. These 70-year-old, 80-year-old people who are retiring, they're going to have jobs, and not part-time jobs, full-time jobs to pay their bills. Okay? Insurance companies, all the insurance companies out there, they can't pay their bills because they haven't been able to make the money they've needed off of their investments because interest rates have killed the market. I think it's going to be 20 years because we just saw what happened to Japan over the last 20 years, and they have a completely different society than we do. They save everything and they penny pinch. They do not spend and consume the way Americans do. Americans are not ready for what's about to happen. And it's not just going to happen here. It's going to happen in every first world country all over the world. And there's no stopping it. Debt is going to kill us. Low interest rates are going to kill us. And I'm actually scared about it. But there's ways that you can start to prepare. But if you haven't already started, it's too late. There's going to be bank runs. There's already been 4 banks over in China that have been bought out by the PBOC, the People's Bank of China. They've already bailed them out. And what happens when you have a bank run? Well, people go and take their money out of the bank, and it's not there. Then somebody hears that bank defaulted, so they go and get their money out of their own bank. And then that bank has a bank run. Before you know it, it just spreads like fire. There's no stopping it. And then the global monetary system gets put on hold and nobody can get any money out of the bank. It's going to happen. Everybody's rushing to get dollars. There's only $4 trillion in circulation right now, and there's over like $52 trillion owed in dollars that's currently owed, not future debts. And as all this money that has been borrowed in the last 20 years around the world, they've all borrowed it in dollars. Well, when you borrow money in dollars, it has to be paid back in dollars, okay? And as your currency declines in value to the dollar, now you have to pay even more of those dollars, okay? You might have thought when you borrowed it, you're only going to have to pay $10 back. Well, your currency is worth less. So when you go and trade for those dollars, now you have to get $15 because your currency is worth less, okay? All of these countries are rushing to get these dollars, and they can't get it. They're fighting for dollars. Over in China, if you want to buy gold, there's rumors that there's people, if you can even find gold, it's 7% higher than the spot price right now. If you can even find it. People are doing whatever they can. Sorry, my cat. People are doing whatever they can to get their money out of China, and they can't. Okay, it's a closed currency system. China's doing whatever they can to stop money from leaving. Because once the money leaves the system, the liquidity dries up, and you have a bank crisis, a bank run. Okay? Everything, all the money that circulates throughout that system that keeps it going, it just dries up. Yeah, you're going to see some Bitcoin start to do some things once it hits the fan. I don't know. I don't know enough about Bitcoin. I know there's people who do and people who recommend it. I don't know enough about it, but I think it's a good investment, maybe 1% at least of your total net worth. I would be thinking maybe more so in gold. There's ways to preserve capital through some cyclical trades, some cyclical ETFs, direction ETFs, but you have to know what you're doing. I mean, you can lose 5% a day. You can gain 5% a day. You can lose 10%. You could blow up your whole trading account. There's ways to be profitable, but you have to have some education. But I just wanted to get some things out. And to anybody who watches this video, hopefully you can start to do some research and realize how bad the shape really is of the economy. And not just the American economy, global economy. And what's scary is the American economy is the absolute best. It's the healthiest economy out of all of the bad economies. And I didn't even get into the U.S. shell companies. Most of them can't even be profitable at $42 a barrel. There was a study done back in March or something by oilprice.com. They said that 9 out of 10 companies weren't profitable for the first quarter of 2019. So the oil company, basically the whole oil economy, the whole oil, sector, can't even think straight right now, but the whole oil market in the U.S. is going to go bankrupt until prices go back up. They can't pay their bills. And there is a lot of hedge funds who bought in to Shell when it first came out. I mean, these hedge funds right now, most of these people running these hedge funds and these pension plans and these 401ks, they weren't around in 2008. They didn't see how anything happened, how anything went down. And they don't even know how to trade it the right way, invest it the right way. But they only pay a lot of these employees, maybe $50,000 a year, maybe. And they don't ever do any serious research on what they're buying and investing in. It's sad. They should be paying $100,000, $120,000, $150,000, maybe more to some of these people. But because of how much it's really worth to these customers who are trusting in their whole future life to these people who don't know anything. Okay, that is gross negligence in my opinion. But they're just gonna get away with it, just like all the banks did in 2008 with their bad lending practices. And yeah, that's another thing. The lending practices over in China right now? There's some shadow banking, shadow lending going on, and nobody even really knows how bad it really is, because China doesn't let anybody into their markets, into their real information. Their GDP every year is like 8%, 8.1%, 7.9, 8.2, 8%, 8.1. It's always the same. It never moves, that doesn't happen in economics. It's just not real. It's made up. It's fabricated. China's in a mess. So the whole reason they are where they're at today is because they completely eradicated manufacturing and warehouses and production from the rest of the West, United States, Germany, Japan, Great Britain. They completely took all those jobs by undercutting them with wages through manipulation of their currency and devaluing their currency. They stole all those jobs, disappeared. Now America and the rest of the West doesn't have any more production jobs. What are those people doing for work? They can't find work. We're still having problems with that now. That's why it still feels like we're in a recession, and we are. If the numbers were displayed the way they were back in the 80s, we would still be in a recession. But all those jobs that they attained through the last 20 years of trade war, or devaluing their currency and unfair trade practices, we don't have fair trade. They have a closed system. Okay, but how they got all those jobs, when they received all those jobs, that completely paved the way for their industrialization of 1 billion people. Okay, think about all the money they've been taking from us through unfair trade practices. Okay, all that money, 1 billion people industrialized. Okay, that's a lot of money. Now they're being held accountable. And now here's the icing on the cake. This is actually scary, okay? They are losing all those jobs because all those workers, they can't pay those workers the same wages anymore because those workers want more money. They have experience now, and there's more opportunity, okay? That trade surplus they have is going to be gone because all those companies are moving to Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, all these other second world, third world countries, okay? They're becoming industrialized. So what happens when you take their main staple, the manufacturing industry, and just take it and move it? They don't have that money coming in anymore that's been able to pay their bills and pay this expansion, okay? And all the money that they owe, all the money that they've taken out and borrowed over the last 20 years, they will not be able to pay it back. And there will be a rush for dollars. And this is going to escalate. At some point, this will escalate to war. I don't say this to scare anybody, or I'm not trying to overhype it. It's inevitable. What's going to happen is going to make the Great Depression look like an appetizer. It's going to be scary. And if you're not familiar with this and what's going on, you need to start doing your research. Start looking around on YouTube for people who might have some real information who will give you the facts. You're not going to hear it on mainstream media. The government and mainstream media doesn't want you to know until it's too late, because once you know about the recession and what's going to happen, you start saving money and stop spending money. Well, in the system that we live in, a consumption economy, it's built on debt and spending. Well, when you stop doing that, it basically guarantees a recession. But at some point, you have to take the bullet and just move on, okay? You got to take it, chalk it up as a loss, and move on. And you got to suck it up and live through it. Yeah, you got to eat rice and beans. You got to make it. You got to let somebody rent your third car, sell your third car, downgrade, do whatever you can, but you need to start. Anyways, I'm at 20 minutes and I'm just starting to ramble, but I just wanted to get this out there. Not enough people are talking about it. 99% of the population doesn't even know what's going on, so just wanted to share. But thanks for watching, listening to me ramble. Good luck to you all.